It's like the convenience store that has a safe that the money gets deposited into, but they don't have the bulletproof glass for the employee. They care about the money, they don't care about the employee.
This is the Atomic Souls Podcast.
Welcome to the Atomic Souls Podcast.
Thanks.
Who are you and what do you do?
I'm Trey Gober. I'm managing partner at Lee, Gober, and Reyna. It's a personal injury firm primarily based in Austin, serving all over the state and all over the country.
Yeah. And y'all have expanded to other states. Where are y'all in now?
So I originally was licensed in Texas. All of our attorneys in the office are licensed in Texas. Also have 2 lawyers, including myself, licensed in Colorado. I'm licensed in Pennsylvania. And on next week, I get sworn in Louisiana. So we'll have 2 lawyers licensed in Louisiana.
Exciting. Yeah.
So I am excited for that. I've been looking forward to having my license in Louisiana since we got the house there.
I saw you posting stuff about it on Facebook. There's like some uniqueness to it.
Oh my
Seems
God.
very different.
It's a thing. They're very proud of being the only state. Louisiana is very proud of being different. Yes. And they want to be different.
It is that too.
They use French civil law instead of British common law. So like Napoleonic code kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And it's different, but at the same time, if you think about the history of, England and France, they were right next to each other. They were constantly invading each other and imposing their law on the other when they were the victor for however long. And so what I've noticed is that there's a lot of overlap between the two. And what I've learned is that some of the stuff that we have in British common law, like in Texas, is from the French law. And some of the stuff that's in the Louisiana law is from British law. Yeah. And so there is a lot of overlap.
It's very similar.
Yeah.
Has there been
go ahead.
Weird stuff that's very different?
So one thing that I found really interesting is there is a concept of moral obligations that are separate from legal obligations, but they're not unenforceable. And so if you agree to make a gift to someone or help someone, and then you carry through with that and you give them money or help or whatever, under common law, you could say, oh, well, that wasn't an enforceable agreement. I didn't get any consideration in return. I had no benefit. Yeah. Well, the system in Louisiana says, well, your benefit is like that moral satisfaction you get from helping someone. And I'm not a Louisiana legal expert and that history of it, but I just found it really interesting, that you could be bound to your moral agreements and because the law anticipates that people would want to do something because it's the right thing to do. Yeah. Like if you had a debt that was too old to collect, but you made a promise to pay it, it can still be enforceable that way.
Wow. So don't make promises. Interesting. Do you think that's rooted in the Catholicism that's really heavy in that culture?
So this is where I'm at the disadvantage of not going through an LSU law school where you get the professors giving you the history behind the law and everything. But that very well could be it because there's also a huge focus on protecting minors and people who can't care for themselves. And so they have this concept of a forced heir, where if somebody is incapable of, if they're under a certain age or if they're incapable of fending for themselves, you can't disinherit them without a laundry list of things. Like they tried to murder you. You could disinherit them if they tried to murder you.
Wow.
But there's all kinds of obligations that parents and even grandparents have where they could a child who is an adult child that maybe is special needs or homeless could actually like seek support from their parents or grandparents if there's a reason why they can't support themselves and their parents could support them.
Yeah.
And that's not something we have in Texas.
Right. It's like an entitlement law.
Yeah. It's, I mean, and I don't know on a practical level how often that's used or what's required to prove that up.
Yeah.
But it is an animal that technically exists in Louisiana law.
Be interesting though, because if kids or someone with special needs or like somebody that's homeless, do they have the resources to hire an attorney to
I thought about that too.
actually get that done?
Yeah, you don't see billboards as you're walking through downtown New Orleans.
Right.
Like, are you homeless and have rich parents?
Yeah.
We can help you with
Let's
that.
take advantage.
Gap in the market.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, we do have a lot of homeless people in New Orleans, unfortunately.
Just start asking them, do you have rich parents?
Yeah.
I can help you get off the streets.
Yeah. I usually try to avoid those situations entirely. So.
Oh my gosh. I laughed so hard at that video. I actually had someone reach out to me. The video of the guy on the bike that hit your truck.
I have people bring that up to me all the time.
Dude, I had someone that messaged me a year ago and then again. And a year ago, I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. It was like your friend who's like, truck got hit. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
And then he messaged again this year and I was like, oh, I know exactly what you're talking about. New Orleans is wild. Have you seen the video?
Yeah, was that in front of y'all's house?
Yeah.
Just goes fuck.
You know, what's the website? Viral Hog entered into a licensing agreement for that video.
Really?
And I think I've made over like $800 or something. I get 50% of what they make. So
That's dope.
I have no idea who's buying the rights to play that video.
It's like the chive, whatever.
Yeah.
Plays at restaurants.
Somebody bought it, like it's like a NBC, ABC, somebody like that, bought the rights to it and paid like over $1,000 to be able to use it.
Wow.
So somebody's watching it.
Yeah.
That's funny.
So funny.
And ever since then I've tried to submit videos to Viral Hog. I'm like, well, that was easy. Let's do that again.
Yeah.
They pretty much want to be the one that fined you.
Yeah.
So
You call and be like, how does that work? Because you're a personal injury lawyer and that guy hit your truck. Would you go like talk to him or just be like,
oh, he was gone by the time I even knew who he was. I think he was probably a bike thief. He had a bike and he had like an extra bike tire in his hand as he was riding.
Interesting.
And just the way he was acting and stuff, I think he'd probably stolen that bike.
Yeah, didn't want to chat.
And yeah, he didn't stick around to chat. He just, I think his exact quote after he hit the back of the truck was, "That bumper fucked my life." So, which
should that be y'all's company's quote?
Yeah, that bumper fucked my life. Yeah.
Did you get fucked by a bumper?
Yeah.
Call us.
Give us a call.
Yeah.
I look good on a billboard.
That's funny.
Yeah. He just walked away right after it happened.
He got up quick. He just
Yeah.
popped up.
But it did like $700 of damage to my truck because it busted the backlight and some scratches and stuff. So I was glad to get the money from Viral Hog.
Paid for it.
To pay for it. So.
Oh man, that's so good. So personal injury is primary.
Yeah.
How did you get into that?
So when I was in law school, I wanted to do nothing more than practice criminal defense. I don't really know exactly what drove me to that. I had a mentor lawyer I worked with in my hometown who was a criminal defense attorney, but I really wanted to do criminal defense well before that. The earliest memories I have, I'd always wanted to be a lawyer. There's actually a photo that my parents have of me as a baby dressed as a lawyer with like law books behind me.
Really?
And apparently my dad says that he always called me his little lawyer when I was a child. So I think maybe it was like subliminal messaging or something.
They conditioned you to be a lawyer.
Did you argue a lot or?
I guess.
What were the reasons?
I mean, I
came out fighting.
I suppose. I I was really nervous of like public speaking when I was in middle school, and I knew I wanted to be a lawyer, and that was going to be a problem.
Yeah.
So when I got to high school, I went to the speech and debate coach after my freshman year of high school and said, I'm going to be a lawyer and I need to speak publicly. And I want to be on the speech and debate team.
Yeah.
And she said, well, usually you have to start in the speech class. And I was like, well, I've missed that opportunity. I'm going to be a sophomore and I need to go straight into speech and debate, please.
He started arguing with her.
And she said, okay, you can do it.
Yeah. She's like, great. Already
So-
A+.
She let me in, and I tell you, like those first few tournaments I went to, I was just like nervous and shaking. And I was like, but this is a fear I have to get over.
Yeah,
I absolutely have to do this. And I did, and I kept doing it. I loved it, and I did really well and placed at state and
Nice.
really enjoyed it. And I started out in criminal defense.
Yeah.
And then I liked the law. I didn't like the clients. A lot of really nasty people.
Yeah.
And then I went over to personal injury, and I think it spoke to me more because of my personal experiences. I lost a fiancée to medical malpractice, and when I was 9, we were hit by a drunk driver. So I'd had some experience, experiencing injuries and loss, the types that my clients now experience. So I think that resonates with me and how I communicate with clients.
Yeah. You've been there. You understand.
Yeah.
And were those experiences handled well, in your opinion, by the support that y'all got?
Kind of two different experiences. So with my fiance passing, that was a medical malpractice claim, and she passed the day after tort reform went into effect in Texas in 2004. And
What is that for those of us who don't know?
sorry.
Not an attorney.
I'm a layperson.
So a tort is a civil wrong other than breach of contract for which the law provides a remedy. So that's your negligence claims, your malpractice claims, your recklessness claims. And tort reform is a name that's been given by the insurance companies, their lobbyists, to rein in the ability of people to sue for their injuries, for their tort claims.
Yeah.
The founders of the U.S. thought it was so important that everybody have a right to access the courts. We have the 7th Amendment that says that you have a right to a jury trial for any controversy in excess of $20.
Yeah.
That number doesn't get updated with time.
$20. What would that have been when they wrote it?
That is today.
It's $20 today.
That's a lawyer
It's
answer.
hysterical.
That's exactly what it is. What the document says.
It doesn't get updated. And so anytime you have a controversy over 20, you should have a right to a jury. And so what the lobbyists for the insurance companies have done is they've taken a two-pronged approach. They go into the legislatures and try to find every little slice and cut they can against our claims, make it harder to prove. So what they did with medical malpractice tort reform was they said, okay, well, before you can file a lawsuit, you have to find an expert. And in practice, I'll tell you, it's usually 2 experts to say that what the doctors did was negligent, meaning that they fell below the standard of care of a reasonable, ordinary, prudent doctor, and that negligence caused harm, caused the injuries.
Yeah.
And then what they did on the second side of it is they capped the damages that you could recover. So this is where the phrase "better to kill than to maim" comes from.
Yeah.
It is less exposure if one of my clients dies versus they live, because there's a cap on medical malpractice claims at $250,000 for non-economic damages.
Wow.
That's just not a lot of money.
Right.
I mean, people spend $10 million for a banana taped to a poster board.
That's
you know,
crazy. Yeah.
but a life has a cap at $250,000.
But if you're injured, you get more money than if you're
You
dead.
could, yeah, if you needed if you needed
Based on medical
care the
expense,
rest of your life and stuff, if you
Yeah.
had lost wages,
Yeah.
then absolutely you could get that for the rest of your life. So you still see some the viable medical malpractice claims that you see now are like birth injuries, where a child sustains a brain injury because of a malpractice involved in the birth. You see those claims still a lot. But what that tort reform did in 2004 is it made it very difficult from a business model for lawyers to be able to take on those cases.
Yeah.
And, unfortunately in Texas, you're not allowed to recover attorney fees spent in suing a doctor who commits malpractice.
Interesting.
That has to be paid out, and it's not recoverable by the plaintiff. So there's no viable model to litigate those cases.
You could essentially spend $250,000 pursuing it.
Easily.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when they require you to hire experts and then limit how much you can recover,
Right.
they're increasing your cost and decreasing your recovery in order to kill the viability. And the argument for that tort reform was our doctors in Texas, and this was in 2003 when they were, trying to get everybody to vote for it. Our doctors in Texas pay among the highest medical malpractice premiums in the country. We're losing doctors. Doctors don't want to work here because the evil plaintiff lawyers are suing us and making all this money off of us. Well,
You're killing
How
people.
dare. Yeah.
and then we get tort reform in 2004. Well, it's been 22 years since then. And guess what? Our insurance premiums are still the highest in the country,
Right.
but the payouts are less. So who made the money here?
Yeah.
The insurance companies. They're bringing in the high premiums. They're paying out a lot less money.
Yeah.
They never intended to go down on the rates, but that was the second prong. I said there was two prongs that they have. That one is to go to the legislatures and change the rules to make it harder. The second is to create a public campaign against lawsuits and frivolous lawsuits and plaintiffs' lawyers and greedy lawyers. Like there's just this theme that they play out, and that's seen certainly very prevalently with the McDonald's hot coffee case.
That was a crazy one.
It's one of the things, and see, you say it's a crazy one because you know the facts that the insurance company told you about it.
That's true.
There's some really good documentaries about it. I don't know if you've seen them or not.
I watched one thing. I don't know if it was on Netflix or YouTube. It was probably about an hour and a half long talking about it. Again, I absolutely believe media can be manipulated,
Insurance propaganda.
but coffee is hot.
Right.
Like, you shouldn't have to tell me that coffee
Right.
is hot.
Yeah, so
Their coffee is very hot, though.
Well, and they got sued for that.
but the case wasn't really just about that. And I think a lot of people have the idea that this lady that got $3 million for this coffee burn was, driving, put the coffie between her legs, drove off, and it spilled on her, and that's how she got burned.
That was my understanding, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the way it was presented.
Yeah, and that's not the case at all. What happened is a family member of hers, maybe a nephew or somebody, was driving. They pulled over into a parking spot and were parked in the parking lot at McDonald's when her coffee spilled on her. And it caused third-degree burns requiring skin grafts.
Wow.
On between her legs, and they had initially offered to settle with McDonald's. I forget what the settlement amount was. Like her medical bills were like $50,000 or something.
Yeah.
And the only reason the jury came back with as much money as they did is because the McDonald's executives, when they got in the stand, they were almost like laughing at her and her claim and how frivolous it was. And it really frustrated the jury.
Yeah.
And the jury ended up awarding the amount of money that McDonald's makes in one morning selling coffee.
Wow.
That was how they determined how they could wake McDonald's up to that problem.
that.
Where do you think in
Yeah.
that situation, though, that liability no longer exists on McDonald's? Because I'm trying to understand how that would work, because McDonald's was no longer associated with the scenario. You've driven off from the drive-through window. That's on you at that point, I would think. Obviously, that's not the case.
So I didn't litigate that case. I don't know all the facts on it, but my understanding on why McDonald's was ultimately held liable in that particular incident was because that specific McDonald's had been previously told that their coffee was too damn hot. And I don't know how you would get this data. The lawyer that had that case did an amazing job, but somehow they actually had testing of the temperatures of the coffee at that particular McDonald's, and it was lethally hot, like really, really hot.
That's wild.
I've actually myself had, I know at least one hot coffee case that I was able to make a recovery on, but the facts, every case is its own, and the facts were different. Mine resolved confidentially, but it was against the kind of place where somebody might come up to you on some skates. And as my client, as the server was passing the coffee to my client's window was right there, like halfway rolled up, I guess. Yeah. And the server tipped the coffee forward and just dumped it on my client. So my client never even took possession of the coffee cup.
That's definitely
different.
That's crazy.
That's wholeheartedly.
Yeah. And it caused third-degree burns, and my client was wearing blue jeans, and she immediately ran into the bathroom, and when she pulled her blue jeans off, her skin came with it. She was admitted to Parkland Hospital for the burn unit.
Yeah.
That's how bad the burns were.
Gagging.
I do think that that's a testament to how unfortunate it is for some policies and legislations that something terrible has to happen before we can regulate it.
Yeah.
Because obviously, scientifically, we can say, hey, if coffee goes past this temperature, that's too damn hot.
Right.
Yeah.
But something like this has to happen before we ever think about it.
Yeah. And you have to keep in mind that when you're talking about a business like McDonald's, there are so many internal policies and regulations that they follow for everything.
It's very systemized.
And if you want to see how good a company can be at following their own processes and rules, look at how they communicate, how they present themselves, how they market themselves.
Yeah.
They follow their rules to the T.
Yeah.
Anything they do, if it protects their money, they do a very, very good job at it.
Right.
Yeah.
But if it's protecting other people that maybe cost them some money to do, they can kind of be a little lax with those rules.
Yeah.
So it's like the convenience store that has a safe that the money gets deposited into, but they don't have the bulletproof glass for the employee. They care about the money. They don't care about the employee because they've been robbed 15 times and they know there's a risk.
Yeah. Interesting.
But they don't protect the employee because they don't care about the employee. They care about their money.
Wow.
So, and I've had that case too. So,
really? There's so many niche.
Negligent and security case is what that's called.
Wow. I didn't even think about that stuff. Like, that's just wild.
Do you think that's where some of your passion comes from too? Just having exposure to so many just bad situations.
Niche. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Because you're describing it and I'm getting pissed. Just
I know. It's so niche. And like, I would never, as a layperson, think of that.
Yeah.
And like, you're here, like, do you just go around seeing all the things now?
I do. I actually am the type of person that if I'm walking into a store and I see that their mat is buckled up where somebody could trip on it, like I lay it out flat. I really want to see less people hurt. I don't sit back there, wait for somebody to trip and run up with my card and say, hey, you've got a case.
Right.
I would rather that just not be hurt in the first place.
Right. You're not ambulance chasing.
Right.
Do you think that your mentality is the norm, or do you think that there's more people that are the bad actors?
Among plaintiff lawyers?
Yeah. Because I feel like the public image, a lot of people think like, oh, they're ambulance chasers, but that's obviously not the case with you.
So I think that there are some bad actors. I mean, there's always going to be bad actors in any group that we talk about. If we talk about law enforcement, I think the vast majority of police officers are doing it for the right reasons.
Yeah.
But there's some bad actors that give them, the whole group, a bad reputation. But I think for the most part, that's true for personal injury attorneys too. Unfortunately for plaintiff personal injury attorneys, it's the type of job where you could make good money. And so that attracts people who are money motivated rather than,
incentivized that way.
Yeah, it incentivizes people who maybe have the wrong motivations.
Yeah.
I'm not knocking lawyers who have billboards. I have some good friends that have billboards, but I would never have a billboard. It's just not how I envision connecting with my clients.
What is that boundary for you? Like, where does that come from?
That's hard to say.
Yeah.
Why do I have a boundary against billboards?
Yeah. Like, what does that say about the lawyer to you?
I think it's the messages we see a lot of times on billboards I really don't like.
Yeah.
There's a guy in Denver that advertises, and it says, I can't remember the exact words for it, but it's like, want money? Hire me. And I'm like,
no, wrong intentions.
Yeah, to me, like when I talk to clients, and it might be why some clients don't hire me, but when I talk to clients, I'll often tell them, our first priority has to be getting you back to where you were the second before this crash happened.
Yeah.
So medically, mentally, physically, getting you back is as best as medical science can do, getting you back to that point. And then compensating you for all of that loss that you had, the loss of your health, the loss of your time going to the doctor, and getting fair compensation for that. But I don't like to start the conversation with, oh my God, you are going to make so much money on this. And I think that's sometimes what the billboards do when they just plaster a number with, a dollar sign and, you're going to get paid. And there are people that are motivated by that and they want that.
Right.
And those clients might have good cases, but they may not be the best client for me. And I might not be the best lawyer for them.
Yeah.
Because that's not how I practice.
Right. I distinctly remember when we had our car accident, which was like 10 years ago.
I was just thinking
we had first met you and you're like, so I don't usually go after people after like the initial like support.
Right.
But I am suggesting that we do go after them in court, and we had declined it. But I'm because that was an intense case.
Yeah.
It was very interesting.
What was a scenario where they were a threat to the public?
Yeah.
I remember those details very definitively.
5 prior DWIs,
it was
2
like,
manslaughter
look,
convictions.
we're not doing this for you anymore. Like, they are a threat.
Right. Yeah, I remember that case. It was so coming from having been hit by a drunk driver, I do have an extra passion on those cases, and I keep getting hired by these family members that their friends, family themselves are getting hit by drunk drivers, and it's just every time it happens, it's like this is so unnecessary.
Yeah.
It's one thing if somebody runs through a stoplight, they take their eyes off the road or something. It's like this momentary lapse of judgment. But for a drunk driver, there's a long series of events that line up in order for that crash to have happened.
Yeah.
And, it started with when they decided to go out to drink that day, that night, whatever, and didn't make a plan for how they were going to safely get home.
Or even before that, if they are an alcoholic, like
for sure,
they're addicted to drinking.
Yeah. I have a case right now in San Antonio where a family was very seriously injured. And it was the drunk driver's at least second. We found one prior incident, and it's just we just see slap on the wrist after slap on the wrist, and there's a whole industry built around defending DWIs. There's and everybody should have an adequate defense on their criminal charges, but we just see too many. Probation for 6 months and deferred adjudication so you don't have a conviction.
Yeah.
Why is it like that? Why do you think that there's not harsher punishment for that?
So there's a saying with DWI defense that the defense attorneys use, and they don't say this expressly to the jury, but the defense theory is there, but for the grace of God go I, for the jurors. And so the data shows us that a drunk driver drives drunk 7 times before they get caught. Or in other words, they get away with it 6 out of 7 times. And some of them probably more than that, some people less. But there's a good chance that a member or 2 or multiple members of the jury have gotten their free rides home and didn't get caught.
Yeah.
And so they don't want to be harsh and judge somebody who is just doing what they've done.
Yeah.
And there's an even greater chance that the members of the jury have, friends, family, who have gotten caught up in a DWI in the past, and they don't think that they're a horrible, evil criminal. And the circumstances happen, and we just have this mentality of like, this is just something that happens, and we just accept it, and it's completely preventable.
Yeah.
Do you think that grace from the jury is a good thing or a bad thing?
I mean, I think that our jury system is the best in the world. And I think there's a reason why we allow juries to make these decisions. Of course, that brings with it all kinds of biases, even biases, that we don't know that we have.
To some degree, that's the point, though, right? Because if it was just complete objectivity, there would be no mercy,
right?
Grace.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I'm not faulting a jury for ever sentencing someone too low. I mean, they heard the facts and they made the decision,
right.
And that's the way our system is set up. That's why we have the 7th Amendment that says that we can sue and bring a jury trial on any case with a controversy over $20. So absolutely, we should have juries and we should respect the decisions that they make. Now we can limit the decisions juries can make. We can couch them in and say, minimum sentence of 5 years, maximum of 10. Or
I think once you get more than one DUI, it's like,
right.
Okay, are you really getting it or not?
Right.
I think about a lot of our clients. A lot of them have DUIs.
Yeah,
sure.
But they'll be lying to their probation officer, saying that they're doing the program when they're not.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh, can you give me a letter for attendance?" I'm like, you haven't even shown up. Like that happened last month. We're like, what? No.
Right.
It becomes enabling too.
It's enabling. Yeah. And so I'm hearing kind of like the people that are representing, the attorneys representing like our clients basically, are appealing to the enabling jury and like that side of them that's more like empathetic and they're gonna get it right, like but they're not seeing that like usually, I'm not say usually, but sometimes people are not doing the right things.
I thought it was interesting the number 2 you said an average of 7 times.
I think that's the data. Yeah,
I think that's the average data of a relapse before somebody actually sustains sobriety.
It's domestic violence relapse as well. Going back to an abuser, human trafficking is a little higher. That's 7 is weird.
That seems to be a threshold for a lot of
relapses on things. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not, I think we all, are close to at least one person who's had a DWI, and we don't think that they're a bad person for that. So I'm not here to demonize anybody.
Yeah.
But I know that our current system is broken.
Yeah.
And I work a lot with MAD, Mothers Against Drunk Driving, and I talk to a lot of families and I go to the events. And, I don't think that for the most part, I don't think that these families who have lost loved ones, usually that's who's hanging out at the MAD events, are necessarily wanting to see everybody get life in prison for their first DWI offense.
Yeah.
But, they'll slap on the wrist, let's pretend it never happened.
Yeah.
Outcomes are probably not helping fix the systemic problem that we have.
Yeah, I was just talking to one of our therapists about the concept of like overshooting consequences or behaviors. And so it's just more about the middle ground of like what's a healthy consequence for a DUI, instead of like, oh, like life in prison or like a slap on the wrist. Like, what's the middle ground there that they learn the lesson? You know, a lot of people in recovery will say jails, hospitals, institutions, like that's what gets you sober a lot of the times for people who are really hard in it. And so you really do need some kind of wake up call, maybe not life in prison, but some kind of like
significant
cell or significant change that like slaps you in the face.
This San Antonio case I'm working on right now, you know, I know how the crash happened. The guy was driving the wrong way and hit my clients. So I know that, and he was drunk and probably high because there was cocaine found in the vehicle as well. We haven't gotten a tox screen back yet to see what was in his blood. But one of the first things I want to know after I know how the crash happened is, why did it happen? Like, what led the defendant to this point?
Right.
And so I went back and, you know, I'm looking at his criminal history and I'm looking at civil filings. And sure enough, there was like this strong correlation. Like, you look at when he went through a divorce, and then all this criminal stuff starts happening. And I'm not saying one caused the other. It could have been that there was an addiction abuse issue that caused the divorce. And then subsequently he started getting caught.
Definitely correlation, not necessarily causation.
There's something that started happening around that time period when he got his divorce, and it just has snowballed since then. It's getting worse. And I'm not trained to look at any of that. I mean, I'm just a human being that needs to, tell our story to the jury, and that's part of this story of this case. Is this wasn't one guy going out and getting drunk one night. This was a pattern that's been going on for 6 years. And if I can figure that out, it seems like the system can figure that out. So when he got caught for his DWI 3 years ago, he's 3 years deep into this pattern that's snowballing and getting worse. And there was nothing offered to him. He literally sat in jail until the maximum is 60 days in jail for a first offense. And he sat out 60 days, and then he got out.
Wow.
No
probation?
No benefit, no probation, no...
Did his time.
This might be a loaded question, but how would you fix it? Or is it fixable? Like, there's been other stuff that we've talked about with other people where I'm like, I don't know that it is fixable other than just burning it to the ground and starting again. That was really, really killed me the way things were handled with like the Epstein file stuff.
Oh my God.
And they were like, oh, it runs too deep. It's like, all right, well, burn the motherfucker to the ground.
To the ground.
Like, if it's that deep, that's fucked.
We need everyone to go if it's that much people.
I mean, for DWI specifically, we've had the technology where your steering wheel can detect if there's alcohol over a certain amount in your blood. You actually like perspire a little bit. And so there's a way for that to say, oh, you're not in a condition where you can drive. And then as we have self-driving vehicles come on, I think we'll have a technological solution.
I was thinking about that yesterday. I was like, would a car just like pull over and be like, you're too drunk to drive right now?
I would be curious your thoughts on encroachment on liberty with that too, though. Because again, I'm not advocating for it. I'm playing devil's advocate here.
We're just exploring the possibilities.
I think you're definitely taking away people's liberty when you start implementing stuff like that. So it's kind of the gun control debate, right? It's like, if we get rid of all the guns in the world, you absolutely will not have gun violence the way you do now. But also, you just eliminated the liberty for people to make their own decisions.
I feel like Tesla would need you to like sign an agreement. Like, if you see me drunk, I agree to you pulling over or driving me home.
Well, I think ultimately, eventually, the vehicle is just going to drive you home. You're not going to be driving at all. But, I get the liberty argument on it. But we're not talking about somebody driving in their back pasture. We're talking about somebody using a public space, public roads. And there's
like
other
shooting
people
up the
there
public.
that have a liberty against being hit by drunk drivers. And so I've always been of the opinion that, your rights end where mine begin. And so we have to limit people from being able to hurt others. And I'm not an advocate of like taking away everybody's guns for sure, but I am an advocate of taking away guns from people who are, very likely to be dangerous to others. But that only works so long as criminals want to obey the law. I had a friend, a guy I knew in New Orleans who was just killed a few weeks ago, and just complete bystander to a felon with a gun that was trying to shoot at someone else, and had nothing to do with him. He was just wrong place, wrong time. And so I don't know what the solution is for that, because it was already illegal for the felon to have a gun,
Right.
and he did.
Yeah.
The highest gun control areas are where the most gun violence takes place at. I don't know what the answer is either. I didn't even bring that up to talk about gun violence. I think our rights and liberties are something that is going to become more on the forefront of topics as we move more and more into this automated future with AI and everything. Because the value of human production is going to become less and less viable. And so it's really hard for. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not sure if I'm phrasing that correctly.
No, I see what you're saying.
It's definitely a concern of mine.
Yeah, I mean, it's something I think about a lot.
Yeah, I think I see you talk. You talk a lot on social media about stuff, and it's always intriguing to me because I think you do a good job of
posing questions,
but like you articulate your thoughts very well. To where other people are just like, oh, this is bullshit, or that's that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah.
Like you just have hate from both sides, but no articulation of thought.
Right.
And so it's usually very thought provoking when you post that stuff, because some of it's a different perspective on things that I'm thinking about as well.
Yeah.
I think it's when you take an extreme position, no guns, all guns. No encroachment on liberty with the vehicles. Everybody gets a vehicle regardless. Like, I think there has to be some nuance to our policy. And, where are the problems and how can we address it? I mean, and kind of circling back to what I do, I think that's what we do by bringing these claims. I know we're demonized for it, because the reality is there is no magic wand that can make the crash not happen.
Right.
And so one of the things that I think I don't think I know is the benefit from our work is we put a cost to being dangerous in society.
Yeah.
And so if you're a business, if you're a bar that's over serving someone, you have a legal liability for when that person gets on a road and goes and hurts somebody. Unless you're in Louisiana. There's no liability for bars in Louisiana. I'm not joking about that.
Wild. I mean, that makes sense with the drive-through daiquiri shops.
Yeah.
That is,
As long as as soon as they leave the premise in Louisiana, the alcohol server is not liable. So long as the person who they serve to is over 21.
That's so Louisiana to already have that law set.
In Texas, and I think every other state I've ever looked at this law in, if you knowingly overserve someone, you're liable for their injuries.
Is there a specific metric or where you can identify overserving? Or is it just opinion?
It's a question of fact for the jury, ultimately. You'll have to retain an expert. The expert that I use uses a cutoff at 0.20. So we're not talking about somebody who's like barely, 0.08 blood alcohol content is the legal limit for driving in most states, including Texas. So 0.2 is really up there. Yeah, it's really up there. The highest I've had was a 0.3. I want to say it was a 0.33. Most people would be dead or passed out.
We've got some clients that have like a badge of honor with their limits.
If somebody's operating a vehicle over 0.2, they probably have alcohol abuse history.
Yeah, because that's a big tolerance.
Their body is tolerating that. Yeah. The one I just got out of San Antonio is a 0.27. Wow. So we know whenever I see that, I know it's somebody that has
been using enough that like you can function with that amount of alcohol in you.
Yeah. I think that's interesting. I know I keep asking questions, but like going back to the coffee case and like the liability on them serving coffee that's too hot. And I was kind of questioning like, why would they be liable? Mm-hmm. But I think this brings up a good point here to where, you exactly what you said, your rights end where mine begin. Well, if you're over serving somebody, then there needs to be accountability there because you are allowing them out into public to potentially be a harm to other people.
Yeah, it's negligence.
And they're making profit off of it. They're profiting off of making our roads less safe.
Right.
And so the only and I'm a capitalist. I want businesses to be profit motivated. And so I think the only way we can speak to business is to put a price on dangerous activity.
Yeah, cost allocation.
Yeah. And make it cheaper to be safe.
Yeah.
And they will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's I think that we see that over and over. It can be taken to an extreme as well. Like I was staying at a hotel this week and there was an AT&T SUV, just a regular, Ford Explorer or something that was in the parking spot and they were backed into their spot. And they had cones on each corner of their parking spot. And I'm like, for what? Like, there's 100 other vehicles in this parking lot that are parked. Somebody got hurt. And I'm like, I don't even know what that would prevent. But they have these rules in place because somebody got hurt at one point. And
that's an investor call is what that is. It's like, what did you do to correct this?
Yeah.
Oh, well, we put cones out. It's a policy now.
Yeah. Behind every rule is a fool. I tell my staff that all the time. Clients are like, why do we have to read we have like group agreements, which are like that previous clients had made all together about like rules basically for the group. And why do we have to do this? Why do we have to give our phones up for a group? It's like, because behind every rule is a fool. Somebody was on their phone the whole session and wasn't participating. And somebody was talking over somebody else and it was disrespectful. So the agreements is what we call it to make it like less punitive.
Yeah, every warning label has a great story behind it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, it's like, when the old, I don't even know if they're still on there, but like the label on the toaster that says don't use it when you're in the shower or whatever. Like, I don't even know if that's a real thing. I don't look at the labels on toasters when I buy them, if I'm being honest, but
they do say like don't use near water.
Yeah. So, and those aren't really the kind of cases that I'm looking for.
What is like the most interesting case you've worked on?
I don't know in terms of interesting. I do like cases. I handle a lot of car crash cases. And I think because I handle so many of them, they kind of get a little bit rote. You're just working on them over and over. But I like stuff where, like I've had a rock wall climbing incident that I really have to go in and learn about rock climbing, and I didn't even know what a belay or belay system was before that case, and so I learned about that, and how the shackles connect to the harness and all of that, and like different kinds of harnesses that are available. I like learning about stuff. I've had a few electrical cases. I'm actually working on one right now. It's an electrical case. I like stuff where I have to learn about a new topic.
Kind of fresh topic for you to learn about. Nice. Yeah. I have questions. Do you have questions?
No, I mean, I'm just always intrigued by the way you think about things because I know that you're a passionate person, which is subjectivity, but then as an attorney, you have to be very objective. And it's cool to see those things kind of coalesce together. I have a ton of questions that probably...
Mine's left field.
I'm so intrigued with the way things are going with AI and stuff, and I've been having a lot of conversations with friends about, does capitalism have a future? It has nothing to do with what you do, just as a nation, as a society. Like,
well, I mean, I have an opinion on that.
Because, I mean,
mine's similarly left field about like the Epstein files and like the legal implications.
My background's very conservative, you know.
Yeah.
But I don't like, capitalism is a very conservative thing. I don't think it has a future with AI. And robotics and stuff like that. And then also, like, dude, the government's ridiculous these days.
Yeah.
Like on both sides.
Every side.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know, genuinely, I don't know where to see the hope at there.
So on this whole concept of like AI is coming for our jobs and, you know, it's going to take over and all of this stuff, like it is, absolutely going to become more involved than we can even anticipate. Yeah. I mean, go back 5 years, I don't think any of us really knew that much about it or anticipated it.
I feel like the boundaries they're putting on it is like, it should not be giving legal advice or medical or like therapy advice. I'm like, all right, job security.
Yeah.
For now.
I mean, I have a legal AI, so
I mean, use it too.
It's a tool, but like they're trying to like limit it giving advice.
I think that, you know, similar arguments were made. I remember when grocery stores, Walmarts started getting the self-checkout and everybody getting up in arms of like that they're taking our jobs, you know. Those are good jobs that people had, and now a machine's doing it, or the kiosk you see at McDonald's that you order yourself instead of talking to a person. Yeah. And I liken that, and I think, you know, okay, yeah, but we also used to have kids in coal mines, and then we found that we could make machines that would do that.
It's not
and
safe.
We're still fine.
Right.
We've advanced as a society, even though we took away those jobs.
Yeah.
I ultimately see that when a machine can come in and do something that a human is doing, is that it allows humans to do more meaningful work.
Right.
Whatever that may be.
Yeah.
But as far as like destroying capitalism, I mean, there's only an incentive to do something, right, if there's like a profit to make. And so, and there has to be a consumer. So if you're like completely putting consumers out of work and out of business where they can't make money, they're not going to, who's your market?
Well, that's why I said I don't know that capitalism exists, because I think we get to a point, I forgot what the guy's name was. There was a politician that was talking about this a few years back that was running for president, like Andrew Yang or something like that, with the universal basic income. Yeah. And I think even back then I was like, I'm not voting for this dude, but I think he's on to something. Is exactly what I was saying earlier, like robotics and stuff is there. They can already do jobs and we just don't allow them to. But eventually the financial gain will be so significant that those regulations are going to stop and get lobbied away just like everything else does.
Well, people don't want to work nowadays too, so that's also a factor.
Well,
nobody wants to work at Walmart doing checkout, like So it makes sense to like.
Well, those jobs weren't meant to be careers though. They were meant to be like starting positions where you could learn stuff. Like I'm with you on that. Like people found more meaningful things to do, but I think we're quickly approaching the point to where all the meaningful things can be autonomous too. Yeah. And then it's like, well, where do we find our identity? Because a lot of people, you ask, like, who are you? Okay, well, I'm an attorney, I'm a husband, I'm, whatever those things are. And if you eliminate everything outside of person, it's really hard to find that meaning.
Yeah. We have so I'm in the networking group BNI, and we've gotten an influx of applicants in the last few months of people that are buying franchises that have no prior industry experience. And the franchises they're buying into are jobs like one was house cleaning, one was water restoration.
Like home services.
Basically AI-proof industries.
Yeah.
And so we're starting to see a push of people trying to find like, where can I set up business, set up shop in an AI proof industry?
Yeah.
I personally think that, my job as a lawyer is pretty safe. Yeah. I mean, I don't see computers coming in and doing what I do, or AI doing what I do effectively.
It takes out the empathy part, right? Like the jury having empathy and like human emotions.
And that's the problem we've seen. So I was licensed in 2008. So I didn't practice at a time prior to insurance companies relying on, but we always called them algorithms. But I think a lot of times AI algorithms, it's a computer model making decisions, right? And so for decades, insurance companies have been using computer models to evaluate claims and tell the adjuster, okay, this case has a value between this and this. Yeah. And there's all these data points that it looks at. It looks at, the thing about medical records is they're very standardized. We have standardized diagnostic codes. Yeah. And so it can literally take millions, billions of data points of, okay, we've had 100 cases in Travis County go to a jury trial with this diagnostic code, and this is what the jury came back with. Wow. And so they can put all these data points in, and the computer spits out a value. So that, when you said taking out the empathy, that's exactly what that model was doing. And so I've been fighting that for a very long time. But then you file suit and you get to a higher level adjuster and you get to a defense attorney, and the attorney doesn't have to be bound by the algorithm. And they can evaluate what will a jury do, a human jury that's not bound by that algorithm. And so I think my job's pretty safe, at least for now. Y'all see the guy that like will kind of he'll set up like ChatGPT. He'll ask a question and then it fails. Like the other day I saw him ask, how many E's are there in the word 17? And I was like, oh, there's 5.
Oh, it gets strawberry wrong too.
Yeah, it gets strawberry wrong. And so AI is also confidently wrong. Yeah. And so I don't know at what point it fixes that. It checks it. I mean, it will eventually. It'll get there.
Yeah. It's doing some really impressive stuff right now. I think a lot of people don't see. So like working on the vessels, offshore stuff, Europe's already utilizing autonomy and AI stuff for that.
For like their rivers and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. The only thing stopping it here is we have so much invested in infrastructure that for the most part is financed. And so they have to get an ROI before they implement. But we're currently building electric boats with observation capabilities, not engagement capabilities yet in the States.
It's a Whammo boat.
Same thing with like home services. I'm real big about homes. That's why ASP started specifically targeting home services and local service.
They're least likely to get shut down with AI.
we target AI-proof businesses
client.
because it's long-term
I was thinking about y'all today when we had yet another AI-proof franchisee come into the chapter. I'm like, oh, there's a whole industry here.
But it's hard with the franchises though, because they get their own marketing and stuff, and so they can't work with us. And it's shit, and they hate it, but they can't leave it.
But that's back to an adoption, not necessarily an inability thing. AI and robotics haven't been adopted into those industries yet. That's why they're not being utilized. They are already capable of performing majority of those tasks. And I think eventually you get to the point to where you have these PE groups and these conglomerate groups that will just price the little guy out, and they'll capitalize on all of that.
I heard about a window cleaning company. This might have been at the Austin Chamber that's using drones to clean windows. It's like they're already automating out the human aspect.
Yeah. I mean, I'm talking about, I think we're looking at like a 10-year horizon. I'm not saying this is happening tomorrow,
right?
But it's definitely something that I contemplate a pretty good bit.
Amazon will just deliver our weekly groceries.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything
know.
becomes like an allotment and a stipend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your rations.
Which,
Yeah.
again, I'm not necessarily saying it's a bad thing. I was talking to another buddy about it, and he said, well, what do you think life looks like? I said, for us, miserable, because we grew up with capitalism. I said,
Right.
but the next generation that comes up, they're going to love it because they never knew anything else.
I think that is, as like a mental health therapist, the concern is you and somebody else we had on here who is also very like creative minded, Ryan.
Love them.
Y'all both said, oh, we'll just do more creative things.
Mm-hmm.
Most people don't think like that. Most people like go into like depression spiral because they have no purpose.
Right.
And you and Ryan and like we have like pretty direct purposes and like missions and stuff like that. Most people don't have like strong structures of like their value system and mission in life. And so I think it might go the other way. People just like crumble and like more depression happens and like less people use it for creativity unless there is like a campaign for that like people are like buying into of like, oh, I need to like challenge this. And, yeah.
I don't know if y'all have followed, like it's been a long time since I've been paying attention to this idea of the singularity where
I followed a pretty bit.
Yeah, we know that, technology, the more technology advances, the faster technology advances. And so if you think about like human history and technology, like how long did it take us to get from fire to, oh, we can heat up this metal and now we can forge, steel and then just kind of in our lifetimes, think about you get the computer. Well, then once you get the computer, you can write programs that calculate, all these other issues. And then you get more solutions to more problems we didn't even know we have. And, you ultimately end up with like calculators and, AI that can find protein structures that we've been working hundreds of years on trying to find. And then at some point, as you know, with the singularity, you get to where it's infinitely quick and it's just improving itself. And so that's true for medical technology as well. And,
the issue is that a good thing or not? I don't know if it is or not.
Yeah. Because it's like asking, is the sun coming up tomorrow a good thing? It's inevitable to me. And it's like just going to happen.
I think it is inevitable.
What do we do
my
with
concern is when the sun comes up, do we all burn?
Yeah.
What sunscreen and safety precautions can we use?
Yeah, I try to not worry about things I can't change. So
that's true.
It's going to happen. And I just try to look at the positives of it. Like, people are not going to die from cancer anymore.
There are a ton of positives.
There's argument that, you could even have like near immortality because every element can be addressed.
That's what Elon Musk said. He said, if you can survive the next 20 years, then you'll probably live the next 200.
Yeah. I think there's some possibility that's true.
Want to? Do we want to?
Yeah.
Is the question.
Well, and economics is allocation of scarcity of goods. So when you suddenly have a lot more people,
if nobody's dying,
and a lot less need for human labor to get back full circle, and okay, so now you have an excess of human labor, with a decreased demand for it.
That's a third world country.
Yeah.
Well, I'll just get on Ozempic so we don't need to eat.
But a system can't create itself merely for itself. It has to create itself. There has to be some purpose for it, right? Like
for humans.
Until the machines just take over.
Yeah.
Well, this is why I tell Alexa, thank you. I never get mad at Alexa. Thank you. Appreciate that.
I forgot who it was, but somebody posed a question, and it was like, if we get to like generalized intelligence, which is kind of almost the singularity concept.
Yeah.
Said, let's say the AI gets the prompt that I need to not allow any human ever to die again in the future.
Yeah.
It's like, well, the easiest way to make sure no human ever dies is I kill them all right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll just take care of that.
I think there's a little bit of a Terminator possibility in our future. So
Oh yeah, some iRobot.
It's definitely there. But I mean, we're also limiting ourselves. Like once that kind of technology is here, like space exploration is here.
For sure.
You're still going to need people. There's going to be the AI will find a way to use us.
I'm more optimistic than I am pessimistic with it. I truly think it's going to be a generational gap thing. It's going to be like the boomer generation that can't understand the internet, and they're like, how do I turn this thing on? How do I log into Facebook? Yeah. That's gonna be us with AI.
Yeah.
That's already me with AI.
But I think you're gonna get, that next generation that's coming up, maybe our daughter today, to where it's just it's part of society to her.
I mean, it's just the new normal. I mean, it's I was born in 1983, so I grew up with cassette tapes and the rotary phone where you had to put in one number at a time and it had to come back. And I watch videos today, like on TikTok, of teenagers that are like, how do you use this?
What is that? Yeah.
What I remember, like trying to call in and be caller 25 on whatever the country music station was we were listening to, and like having to wait. And I'm competing against people that have a faster phone than me. But, maybe that was more likely to get me in the 25th spot. I don't know. So, I mean, but we've lived through that, and, people adapt or they don't. They adopt into technology or they don't. I mean, at our office, I've tried to be an early adopter of AI.
Thanks.
Because my concern is that if I don't, my opponents, the defense attorneys, will, and they're going to use that to just completely overwhelm us with paperwork.
Yeah,
and if we can do it the other way around, just yesterday, an attorney came to us and had this bonkers legal argument that just felt wrong, but hadn't heard it before.
Yeah,
and normally would have taken a solid 2 days of research in writing, and we put it into the legal AI that we have, and it gave us a legal memorandum that confirmed what we were thinking, but actually with the research that we needed for it. And we presented that to the other side, and I think the case is going to get settled tomorrow.
Nice. Yeah,
that's awesome.
So I was doing that with, we have AI built into our electronic health record, and there's stats and stuff the state wants you to keep up with, and insurance companies. And I was like, pulling numbers, and I was like, you know what, let me turn on the AI data. In 10 minutes, I had all the information I needed, and I was like, oh, I just saved myself a month of work, or somebody's salary that I would have had to hire to do all this. It was wild.
We were talking about the other day driving home. She's like, what are you thinking about? I said, I'm thinking about pre-Excel. She's like, what do you mean? I said, at one time, this was just a bunch of dudes in a room with spreadsheets handwritten.
And pencils. And
to do a formula that takes me a second to click a button on.
And they had to figure out the formulas that were in Excel.
The very first law firm I worked in, it was at a old law office that was across the street from the courthouse. So this is in Kaufman County, Texas, East Texas. And it's like a traditional courthouse with a square around it. So there's all these law offices, old law office buildings that were built when the courthouse was built. And when the lawyer I worked for went in to rent his space in that law office, he said, oh, the office comes with a bookkeeper. I was like, what do you mean? He was like, I don't remember her name. Let's call her Janice. He was like, Janice has been here since the 50s. She was in her 90s at the time.
Wow.
And she's the bookkeeper. Yeah. She comes with the office. Yeah. That's her desk. And I watched Janice work sometimes, and we had computers. This was, late 90s. But she had an actual bookkeeper's ledger.
Wow.
And it had all these lines, and she would do the calculation. So that was pre-Excel.
Wow.
she would do all of that stuff. And I can't imagine like if the IRS ever came to ask for it was literal books that she was keeping.
I mean, there's some formulas and stuff that we do now, like calculating our client acquisition costs and how that, associations to other cost allocations and all these different little things that we get so, precise with.
Yeah.
Like, how the heck did they do this?
Yeah.
You would just need an entire room of pages and need to know what they are.
Yeah.
We have so many data points on our case management system for clients, and it can run reports, but we actually had to get another company that comes in and downloads. I mean, it's millions and millions of data points, and then can compile it in a way that a human can process what all of it means.
Yeah.
What I'm really excited for is the next step where I don't have to ask it, take this number and compare it to this number. Like one of the things we worked out recently was for each attorney in the office, what's their average settlement on cases relative to the amount of medical bills.
Yeah.
So as a multiple, right? So are they getting 1x the meds? Are they getting 2, 3, whatever the meds? And I had a gut feeling for years that like some attorneys were getting a higher multiple than others. But to actually see that across, hundreds, thousands of claims is like, okay, now why is this attorney doing this and this attorney's not doing that?
Yeah, I was doing that with our therapist and their outcomes.
Yeah.
I was like, well, why does this therapist have such good retention and why is this one struggling with that? And so like looking at the metrics of their clients, and it's pretty cool how you can do that, because otherwise it's just before the data points,
it's just overwhelming.
Too much work to look at. Or it's just because it's who they are, like,
exactly.
or their experience,
or they're just getting lucky and they're getting the clients that resolve.
Right. They get the good clients,
right?
that are ready to work on stuff. Like, no, like that's not just it. Like, it is interesting to quantify actually, those like non-quantifiable things.
Yeah, it's actually like it's pointing to that X factor. Like you still don't know what it is exactly, but there's an X factor there.
Start to try to figure it out.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
I want to play around with that more. Maybe like deep dive into like what their notes say instead of just like the metrics, because we do like starting point, depression, anxiety, trauma levels, and then like midpoints and then the end points. So it's mostly what I was looking at, but it'll be interesting to like comb through their notes and see what they're writing about and see what topics they're hitting on.
On ours, there's an extra layer where I got to learn about pivot charts in Excel to compare not just the outcome for each attorney or the outcome for each paralegal, but when this attorney is paired with this particular paralegal, what's the outcome versus this paralegal versus that paralegal?
That would be interesting, because we have certain clients with individual client therapists have different group therapists.
Yeah.
So I'd be curious, like the crossover of that.
Yeah. It's a pivot chart. I learned about pivot charts recently.
To look into that.
Yeah.
No, that's good.
Well, I'm curious if like AI, the first wave of people to get crossed out of society are the nerds. That's what I'm hearing here is like the pencil pushers, the people that like learned all these formulas and coding and data.
Probably not.
What's
usually
funny
the nerds do pretty well.
Yeah.
I saw something the other day that was talking about, they said, everybody thought that the AI would come and then we could spend our time doing art and photography and stuff. I was like, that's the very first thing that the AI came for was art.
Yeah. Not necessarily really good, six-fingered people and all that stuff.
Yeah,
but it'll get there, and it's gonna get imperceptibly good. I actually had a phone call last week. I think it was with somebody at the insurance company, and the whole time I was thinking, is this person AI or is this person real? Like there were just like little bitty hints, but not enough. Yeah. And I didn't want to be rude and say, I'm sorry, are you a robot?
Yeah.
Like there wasn't a delicate way to do that.
Yeah.
And I've worked with somebody who was developing an AI calling agent for us. I ended up not moving forward with it because it didn't get to the point where I thought it was a true human
Yeah.
interaction. And one of the questions the developer asked me was, if it is asked, are you an AI? Should
Right.
it be honest?
Right. We have one of those
Yeah, we
that
have
answers
one.
the phone.
It says right up front, hey, I'm an AI assistant.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
going to pair you with somebody as soon as they get your information.
Right.
It used to not, though. People were like, they would ask, are you a robot? Let me talk to a human.
Yeah. But now when it says in advance,
In
people are
advance.
like, okay, this is like the press 2 for this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're more lenient. It's a fancy answering machine.
Yeah. it is.
We do have clients that are experimenting with outbound sales calls though with AI, and depending on the industry, some of them are pretty successful.
I would never use it to communicate with clients. I don't see that being real. I foresee a time in the very near future where especially law firms like mine will advertise that you'll never talk to a robot.
That's smart,
you
yeah.
will always talk to real people.
Yeah.
But I could see using it to like communicate with insurance companies. In fact, that was one of the call agents we were developing. Is there's a particular form that we want the client's declarations page from their insurance company, and the insurance company has to give it to us. It's their insurance that they're paying for. Why can't we get that?
Right.
And we often have to call and follow up 3 or more times to get that information.
Yeah.
And so just having an AI that could call and say,
Sit on hold.
and sit on hold and say, hey, and do 20 calls at once.
Yeah.
You know, hey, Sam, this is now the 4th time I've called you asking. I will continue to call
Right.
twice a day until we get this. Go ahead and
get-
send it over.
We
We
actually
get the
need it, too.
same. We have a company that does all of our insurance billing,
Yeah.
and we have actual humans that do that.
Yeah.
That would be really helpful
Yeah,
if
I mean,
they
we
had
pay-
robots to do it.
We pay 5% of build for
Yeah.
them to just
For
sit
them
on
to
hold,
sit
so
on
we
the
don't have to.
phone
Yeah.
and call Bill
Yeah.
or Sam from Blue Cross 100 times to get approval. It's wild. So I love your rants on Facebook that are just like putting people from insurance companies in their place, or
That's actually
absurdities. I love those.
I've thought about like creating. I talked to Joel about it of like creating I don't know,
Like an alias account?
well, something where I could actually start posting the interactions, the call recordings, because I use Plod, and so I have most of those calls recorded, and they get pretty funny sometimes. Like I had one recently where the adjuster was like, he said, it was the adjuster's supervisor. And he was already in my list, and I only have him on my list because I've dealt with him before.
list?
I didn't. Well, no, I've got his information. Like if I've got a supervisor's contact information in my contacts,
That's a bad
it's
thing.
because I've spoken with them before. And I didn't speak with them because I thought Allstate was doing a great job on this case.
It's become a pattern.
And so he instantly, like, he picked up the phone. He was just hot from the start. And I feed energy right back to people.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what's going on here? And so finally, he starts out, no, never. We're never going to do that. And about 15 minutes into the call, he's like, we're going to do it. But we're not doing it because you asked. I'm doing it because I want to do it. I'm like, okay.
Okay. It's getting done.
I don't
That's
care.
fine.
And so I think those would be like an interesting, like kind of like, you remember like crank anchors, where, you know, you have puppets acting it out or something like that.
Oh,
so
that'd be so funny. Like they have like the cartoon characters and like having like, I
yeah,
don't know, Donald Duck talking back
doing
to you.
doing the voice
Yeah.
or their voices. I think that would be fun to do that.